currently on the phone with Bryan. He's another musician that reached out about the current interview session. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Bryan Therlin. I am guitarist and vocalist and co-founder of, in my current band, the South City Winos, here in St. Louis, along with co-founder Patrick Tuller, drummer Samaje Robinson, and bass player John Alden. We do things in and around town, and very glad to be a part of this interview process. I really like this. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for taking the time to join me. So these interviews are really targeted at figuring out how somebody became interested in music. So tell me a story about when you kind of first connected with music and realized that it was going to be a larger part of your life.
So, I'm going to go back to, I'm 63 years old. Let's just put that out there.
Sure.
Right. And when I grew up, I had a godmother, basically my Aunt Gloria, who introduced me to rock and roll, early rock and roll, if you will, in the 60s via 45 records. And I don't know, I just gravitated toward it. And she wasn't a particular genre per se. It was pop music and early rock and roll and some blues. And it just, I don't know, something about it resonated with me. So then we fast forward to my teen years, and by that time I was listening here in St. Louis. Everybody that will remember this will laugh. The old KXOK AM radio, which was so cool, and it was pure top 40, but you could hear anything. And I was just constantly at the radio. Then I got a stereo when I was 13, and one of my cousins, came up and said, "Oh, that's very cool. Here's the radio station you want to listen to." And of course, it was the mighty, mighty rock station that we have that's been in the city for over 50 years. So, and that changed everything. I mean, everything, because I started listening to so many different things that I had never heard before. And I was like, I want to play guitar after hearing one band.
Okay. Do you remember what Led Zeppelin? Okay, perfect.
Led Zeppelin. When I heard Jimmy Page for the first time, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. Now, I'm not to that level still, but...
Let's dive into that a little bit. Tell me a bit about that process of getting familiar with the instrument, learning it. Did you do like private lessons, the regular concert band kind of thing? What was kind of your introduction into playing guitar?
Well, I told myself I wanted to do it. So I go to my parents and I say, I need a guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to play music. Now, at this time in my life, I was very, very into sports. Well, that's what my parents had in mind for me. So they were like, no, it's not going to happen. However, my younger brother had an old Buck Owens red, white, and blue acoustic guitar sitting in his room that he never touched. So I just picked it up. I had a couple of friends in high school, because I was in freshman year at the age of 13. I had a couple of friends in high school who said they played. So I said, can I come over? So they showed me the first three chords I ever learned. And I think this is true for a lot of people: G, D, and C. So I learned G, D, and C first. And I only learned how to play them bar chord style. I didn't, but you just keep practicing and you keep practicing and you keep practicing. And so once I got those chords down, then they taught me E, A, and B. And I was like, oh, okay. So I worked on those and worked on those. Then we decided to put a little basement band together. And I didn't really take lessons. I just jammed with the stereo, trying to figure things out. And from the two friends I had that were guitar players. Then, of course, you meet other guitar players, and then they show you something completely different than what you've been doing and what somebody else has taught you. And it just kind of progressed that way through the years, all through high school and my late teens into my 20s. Then I took a couple of lessons. And I will say, honestly, I didn't stay with it long. By that time, I was wanting to learn to teach myself how to write. And to do that, I don't think it's a matter of I was looking internally to go, okay, what is my voice. And we didn't even call it that at the time. It was just like, what are my ideas? What are my thoughts? What are my, now it's like when you're writing, okay, what's my voice? What does my voice want to say about this or that? But I never really formally took lessons for any great length of time. It was more with jamming with people and just doing it and, doing the work, putting in the practice to develop your own sound, I guess, if you would.
Sure. So that kind of touches base on a lot of the types of questions that I typically ask. Like, how did you go about learning with the instrument? And then once you got comfortable with it, when did you begin to write? So it's really cool that you were kind of in a environment with other musicians, that they were willing to kind of tutor you on that and bring you up to speed. And then also your point about, what your voice is, the type of content that you want to create and stuff. That's absolutely spot on. I think that's kind of one thing that a lot of people miss when they're starting to come up and they start learning an instrument is they don't exactly realize that, they need to make something unique out of their voice, out of, their attitude towards it.
I agree wholeheartly because I mean, some of the guys I grew up with, when I started writing, they didn't understand that because they were into playing covers, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. The South City Winos, we still play covers along with our original stuff because, face it, those are hit songs and or well-known songs, and people like to hear those. And if you do if you do your own take or your own voice on them and do it well, then it's appreciated. But I played with guys in my younger years that just didn't want to. That was too big of a task for them. They didn't want to do that. And I was like, that's the part of it that is so individualistic to me, to break it down and go, okay, what can I do with, I like this melody I've created. I like this chord structure. What do I do with it? What is it I'm trying to say? What does it remind me of? And that's the aspect about it that I really like. And sometimes it's very tedious. I will give you that. It's you run into a wall and you go, I can't finish this. And then you move on to something else. But then all of a sudden you hear something somewhere else and you go, aha, and you come back to that particular thing and finish. There's other points where you write a song in 10 minutes and you go, wow, how did I do that? That
Right.
is so cool. You know?
Writing and creating music is like the most rewarding part of playing an instrument.
I absolutely adore that part of it. I just do.
So tell me about how that progressed into putting together your project that you have going now.
So I had a 22-year radio career for a long time. I played in a lot of blues bands over the years, and then I came back to St. Louis. I obviously haven't been in radio since 2004. Came back to St. Louis, and I work in the healthcare field now. So I was kind of treating it as a hobby. To play. And I started a duo with, I don't know if you're familiar. He no longer lives here. He's out in Colorado. His name is Tony Medina. He used to host some open mics here on the south side of St. Louis. And we became very, very good friends, and we created this duo called TMI, Therlin Medina Initiative, but we also had various other incantations of that name, of those initials. And from there, I was with him for a couple of years. Then he moved back to Denver. Then I started another duo project with a gentleman by the name of Scott Randall, and we called ourselves the BS Collective. And we were together for 7 years, up until last year when he kind of wanted to make a change for life reasons. And I had met Patrick and Samaje. They were in the Meowses, but that project ended for them. So we just happened to meet up at a show. I can't remember exactly where, but we got to talking and decided, hey, you want to try something? So we got together and we jammed, and we were like, yeah, this could work. And we had a really, really busy 2024. We played an awful lot, and one of the highlights of the year was playing the Fox 2 morning show just this past October. That was a total blast. But we play, it's a blues based sound. Patrick writes, I write. We said we were going to write together, but we still haven't gotten to that juncture. But it's a progressing thing that's just evolving and moving, where we find things that we really like to expand on and jam on. Like, we'll write the structure of the song, either he or I, and then we will take it and then we will play around with it in rehearsals and go, okay, yeah, we could do this. Again, that creative process, which is so much fun.
Sure. So are you guys how long have you guys been together right now?
So we formed in August of 23. Yeah.
So
And yeah.
are you guys in the process of like writing and then doing shows, or are you kind of just doing it all at the same time?
We kind of do it all at the same time. However, we did this past fall, we did start on recording. And then, of course, we had some sickness in the band, and just personal things that kind of tied us up. But the news right now is that we are getting close to the final mixes, and we should have those out. I'm thinking we might even have a EP release party early March. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at now. And 4 original tracks, 2 by Patrick, 2 by myself, and 3 of those songs we actually do play live now. The 4th one is going to become part of the repertoire, but we hadn't really worked it out as a band until we started recording it. And then, recent rehearsals is like, okay, let's do that. And it's been a blast. When you add something new to what you've been doing is very exciting, because you never know, okay, how's this going to work? And so it's kind of cool. And besides, we just got a new bass player too. So that part has, getting him up to speed on everything as well. So
yeah, that's great. So tell me how you feel about the way that kind of releasing music has changed lately, where people are doing like regular monthly releases instead of albums kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm so old school. I was in radio when we still played records. Then it went to CDs. Then it went to the computer. And I'm a vinyl aficionado. I have a vast vinyl collection. I love the sound of vinyl. I love the warmth of vinyl. I find CDs too compressed, and there's a lot of back and forth on that between people. But as far as the way music is distributed now, I just find that I grew up an album oriented guy, so for me, doing an EP was just kind of like even going, I don't want to do an EP. I want to do a full length, but that's a lot more time. It's a lot, there's a lot more to that. And we needed to get something together so we could get it out. Not only for just, getting it out to the people that we are trying to reach, but also, for the venues that we're trying to book, that we want to become a part of their scene. They all want that electronic press kit, so but as far, I would just as soon release all the songs at one time as an album and go, if you want this song, go ahead and pick that. But I would still because that's how I like to listen to music. And I still think a lot of people like to listen to music. Vinyl sales have gone up, outpacing CDs last year. So that's a good sign to me. I would love for that to come back, because albums are visions, complete visions. Songs are pieces of the vision. So, sometimes, and I'm not saying every album's a concept album, because it's not, but it's still the whole vision of these were the songs that I felt that I needed to write, or that I did write, that I think as a whole present how I am and what I am. So that's kind of how I look at it. So breaking it all down by song, and then you have the people who go, well, I like that song by them, but I don't like this song. Well, that happens with everybody. But it's the whole vision. If you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, then you might find that song fits in better. But if you just single it out and go, I don't like that just on its own, but if you put it in the context of everything, then it might make more sense. And you go, okay, not as bad as I thought. Just a thought.
Yeah. All right. So tell me what memories stand out to you that have kind of kept you going over all this time. You mentioned you've been playing music and in the industry for like 30 years. So what has kind of kept you motivated to continue doing that?
Well, for the longest time, it was actually finding what we talked about earlier, finding my sound as a guitarist, finding my voice as a writer. What are my ideas? And that was, because real life gets in the way sometimes, when you don't do this full time. And when real life gets, you kind of put it on the back burner, but it just creeps back up there. It's like, no, 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 I have to do this. What is it I'm trying to accomplish? I mean, there are a lot of good guitar players that just sit and play guitar at home. That's what they do. Nothing wrong with that. But as a writer and somebody who loves performing live, I'm like, I need to get better. How do I polish this? How do I clean this? Or do I want to keep it raw? It's the creativity aspect of it that you alluded to earlier. It is the crux of the biscuit, if you will. It's like, I just want to create and I want to keep trying to get better at creating. So I mean, I don't know about you, but I have the first song I ever wrote, and I look at it now and it's a yellowed, notebook paper. And it's like, you read it and you go, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But then I go, yeah, but I kept at it and I found my voice. I found how I write. I found how I decided I wanted to continue to create this. And, if you keep at it, you just keep getting better. And that's what I strived for the whole time, and finding likewise people to play with. So, it's like there's something to be learned from every musician that you meet. It's just a fact. If somebody says, I don't like this guy, I go, you don't have to like him, but I bet you there's something you can learn. It's if you look at it like that and you're open, you're going to hear something or see a move on a guitar that you just didn't think of. You go, oh, it gives you that moment. And it's like, yeah, you file that away to use, because maybe it'll make something you're doing sound better. It's always about trying to get better for me.
All right. That's a great message in itself. Where can people find the stuff that you're putting out and follow you along when you're playing shows and stuff?
I've got a bunch of old solo stuff on SoundCloud under B as in boy, D as in dog, Therlin, Therlin. Now, you can find the South City Winos on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram for our upcoming shows and just everything that we've got going on. Of course, you could follow my page on Facebook or Instagram, and it's BD, blah, 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 Bryan Therlin, pure and simple. And then the EP is going to come out. And then that's going everywhere. That's going to be YouTube. That's going to be Spotify. That's going to be, and a lot of those things. I love YouTube. I'm not a big Spotify fan, because I mean, as musicians, you know what I'm talking about there. But it is what it is. You just have to do it. Now we're going to be on all the platforms that, as far as I know, we're going to be at Discogs, Spotify, Bandcamp, YouTube, and assorted other places. I can't remember them all. I don't handle that aspect of it, but I do know that's what I've been told. So that's where we're at as far as the socials and what's coming up. We got a couple shows coming up. I didn't say this at the beginning. I have a broken foot. I broke my foot in December. And so we kind of put things on hiatus, but we do have an upcoming show January 25th at Spine Bookstore. That's just an acoustic show of all original material from Patrick and myself. That's Spine Bookstore on Arsenal, 7 to 10. And then March 8th, we're at Alpha Brewing Company at Filer and Morganford from 4 to 7. That's going to be a full band show. So no telling what kind of hijinks we might get up to there.
All right, that's awesome. So I always like to give the person that I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So what's a message that you have that you want people to hear?
Good question, but I think I'll go with this. For me, and for a lot of other people I know, music is life. No music, no life. And if you are wanting to play, do it. If they're very, very fine musicians and they are so happy that they've done that. And if you want to be a musician, be a musician. But it's work. You have to put in the work. It doesn't come easy. But get out there and keep doing your thing. Music is life.